Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Zipi Agent Training webinar. My name is Jesse Garcia. I'm the CEO, joined by Julia Andretta with our customer success team, and we will be here to answer any questions. She'll be moderating the chat. So a quick high-level overview of this training webinar. We're going to go into a very in-depth overview of the Zipi platform and how it can really help impact your business in such a positive way and really streamline a lot of different processes between your own business and your brokerage. So high level overview of the training session agenda for today. We're going to go over basic navigation skills of the Zipi platform, just getting used to where everything is at. And then we're going to dive into your My Business, which, as I'm sure if you are on this webinar, you have or have realized that you have two accounts, or you may not be aware that you have two accounts. But you do have two accounts, and I'll explain the difference. And then we'll dive into the brokerage account, which is what your brokerage uses to manage your deals, commission payouts, commission structures, commission disbursements. So this way you're fully aware and transparent on each transaction that you are party to, but also building your productivity reports, metrics, and dashboards in that account. So super high level. We're going to go into the training session here in a second. A few housekeeping items. If you go to the right, you will see a chat button. So you can click on chat, and Julia is monitoring the chat, and I will jump in there just to check if there's any questions that I need to cover during this live training session, or Julia may jump in and ask a question on your behalf to make sure that we do cover it, or if we need to take a deeper dive into something and reiterate anything that we may have missed or that we just need to cover a little bit in more detail. So use the chat. We'd love also to, you can use the chat. Let us know who you are, what brokerage you are with, and where you're from. Get a little shout out. And kind of moving on, if you have additional questions even after the webinar, make sure that you join our Zipi community, and I'll show you how to do that within your Zipi account. So this way you will have a single sign-on into your Zipi community. So this way you can easily navigate to that without having to log in, and you can ask questions, post product ideas, ask the community, your peers, maybe how they're using Zipi to its fullest potential and how they're using it and implementing it in their own business. So without further ado, let's dive into the platform, and we are going to start with some of the basics here. So this way you can really see from a navigation standpoint where things are at in Zipi, and just kind of what we would say, getting a lay of the land. So let me go ahead, turn this off, and I will go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, now I will share my screen. You're going to see a lot of this screen for a second. And now we are going to dive into Zipi. The first thing I'm going to show you, which may be a little too basic, but just so this way we have covered it. If you see on my screen, you're going to see a screenshot of an email that you should have received. It will say, hi, your name, and that you've been invited to utilize the Zipi platform. To create a new account, please click here or copy and paste the link below into your browser. Once you do this, this is only to activate your Zipi account. So make sure that when you click on this link, that you do not bookmark this link as the login page, or that you go back to this email to click on it to log into Zipi. It will give you an error. Simply because it is not your login, it is simply just to create your account. So make sure that when you do click here to create your account, your name, your password, that it's just a one and done. The one time you use it, you won't need it again. You can go ahead and get rid of that email. And then once you move to the Zipi platform, you can go to zipi.app. It's not .com, so just remember that as well. It's zipi.app. And you can either bookmark this page and go to login, or you can click on login and you can bookmark this page. And this is where you will log in. If you have a Google or Microsoft account with the exact same credentials that you registered your account with, You can easily log in with Google or Microsoft since it'll probably be stored in your browser. Zipi works best in the Google Chrome browser. So if you are using Explorer, Safari, Firefox, any other browser, it can work on those different browsers. We do not support those different browsers. So Google Chrome is always going to be the best user experience that you can have with Zipi. Moving on. So once you put in your username and password, or you choose to log in with Google or Microsoft, you click login. Oops, I did not want to log in with that account. It switched me. This is going to be, I think if it logged in, yeah, this is going to be way overkill. So let's start that over. I want to log in as you. Log in. And from, no, I don't want to check my password. So as you log in, this is all going to be blank. You're not going to see anything here. And you may log in to one of two accounts. So again, basic navigation. You're going to have in this upper left-hand corner, you can click on there. By default, if your brokerage has created a My Business account for you, you will have two accounts. You'll have one that says your brokerage name. This one, for example, is Axe Capital Real Estate. Any Billions fans out there will get that. And then you have a My Business account. The My Business account is strictly for you. This is your business account. Your broker does not have access to this account. It is completely separate. This is essentially a single sign-on to a completely separate account, which we'll dive into here in a little bit. This is your brokerage account. So make sure that with a simple click, you can navigate back and forth between your My Business and your Axe Capital Real Estate or your brokerage account. So we're going to start here. And this is just basic navigation. Again, this is all going to be blank. There's not going to be anything here, but I'll show you how to do that. This little hamburger icon, what we call, you can click on here, which shrinks this left sidebar. And it collapses it, expands it, collapses it, expands it. So you can easily click there if you want more room. And again, this helps you navigate between the brokerage account and your My Business account. I'll also show you that you can change the name of this to your actual business if you want it to show you like your actual business name, team name, corporate name. I'll show you how to do that. Going across the top navigation bar here, you're going to see search. And everything across the top is going to be the same in both accounts. So whether you're in your brokerage account or in your My Business account, you'll also have this search bar. This search bar gives you the option of searching everything in the system within this brokerage account login or your My Business account login. So if you click here, you can actually narrow it down to say, I want to search deals, contacts, or tasks. Or if you see this little globe, it means that you can search globally and you can type in anything that's in the system and it'll show you what is relevant to this search throughout all of the insights, deals, contacts, and tasks. Over to the right is your name and the email address that Zipi has on file for your login. The bell is notifications. A lot of this will be financial verification, which you'll see. This is for usually commission structures. So if you have a deal in the system, it'll show you that a financial verification has been processed, which usually means a commission calculation. You can sort by all, unread, flag, deal calculation, an add-on event, or an import. And then you'll see all different types of notifications here. The plus button allows you to create a deal or a contact without having to go to a deal or contact module. You can create this from any screen that you are on in Zipi. So simply click on create, deal, or contact, and it'll take you to those screens to, as you would imagine, create a deal or a contact. Over here, you'll see a profile icon. The profile icon will actually show your picture if you log in with your Google or Microsoft account, if in fact you do have a picture associated with your Google or Microsoft account. It will show your picture here. If you just log in with your username and password, it'll just show you a whited out icon here. You can click on here. The first thing you're going to see is need help. When you click on need help, it's going to take you to our community, which I mentioned earlier. You'll see that it logged me in automatically and created my community account. If you want to be able to, create comments, do likes, add discussions, ask questions, you're going to need to be logged in and have an account created. By clicking on that Need Help button in Zipi, it'll go ahead and automatically do that for you, so you don't have to manage another username or login to get to our community. From a navigation standpoint, I'll come back to this in detail, but you can search for any different knowledge-based articles that we have in the system. You can see latest news, discussions, questions and answers, product announcements, product feedback and ideas, which we love to hear, and then a full knowledge base that we have regarding step-by-step instructions, videos, and we're consistently adding to this video library for training purposes. So you can always start here to find any kind of answers to your questions before reaching out to support via chat, email. Going back to your profile here in your Zipi account, you'll see login profile. When you click on login profile, you're going to see your first name, last name, and email address, change password, and then show help button. This is non-existent anymore, so we just have to get rid of this, so don't pay any attention to that. Excuse me. Keep in mind also that the email address that your broker used to create your account your email address is used throughout several different parts of the application. So one is for you to be able to log into Zipi. Another one is for you to, if you're using .loop or SkySlope, for that integration to work. And another one is for invoices that you may receive from your brokerage or from an invoicing standpoint. So we caution you, when you want to change your email address, you want to make sure that you're changing your email address in the right spot, because it can affect different things. So if you want to change just for login purposes into Zipi, versus changing it for a SkySlope or .loop integration, because if you change it in the wrong spot, your integration to .loop or SkySlope could stop working. So we just want to make sure that you do that right, and always feel free to go to our knowledge base or ask for help with our support channel. Same thing with the company. This is the email address that's used. We very, very, very much so caution you and advise you to seek out your broker, your administration, or even as Zipi. Before you click remove access or disconnect from company, we do not recommend doing this unless you have explicit instructions from your broker to do so, because that would cause you to not have any access to your account at all anymore. So just FYI. And then apps, this is where you would go from the brokerage account standpoint to activate any applications that your brokerage has activated for you to use. So if you're using .loop or SkySlope, it'll show you .loop or SkySlope here. And then what you would do is go into each one of these systems and you would activate your integration and connect your profile to your SkySlope or .loop profile. So this way you can push deals to either one of those systems or bring in deals from either one of those systems into Zipi. And we'll show you how to do that later. And then you can click log out to log out. So that's basic navigation. I'm going to move this over here really quick. So that's basic navigation. If we can get a poll, I know we have a few people in this training right now, and so that way I don't waste your time covering something we don't need to cover. If you can throw in the chat and let me know if your brokerage uses .loop or SkySlope. So if everyone's using one or the other, I can just cover one versus covering both. If we need to cover both, I'm more than happy to do that. But if you can throw in the chat and let me know the transaction management system you are using, that would be incredibly helpful, because I'll get back to that here in a little bit. Now navigating just at a high level to your My Business account. You have more options on the left sidebar, which we'll dive into more in detail. But again, you have the little hamburger here that collapses or expands that left sidebar. You have the search bar here that you can do globally, invoices, expenses, and bills. So as you see that these options changed with your My Business account. You have your notifications here, and then you have your add a contact here, and then you have your profile here with a lot of the same features as you had in your brokerage account. Looks like everyone is .loop so far. Excellent. And The other thing too is what I want you to understand about the difference between brokerage account and a My Business account. So the brokerage account, kind of navigating back to this quickly, think of it as production. These are your deals. So you can create different individual widgets and dashboards regarding your production. You want to know what your average sales price is, what your sources of business are, where most of your deals are coming from, average commission for listings, for buyers, for everything. This is the brokerage account. These are your production metrics. The deal standpoint is where you're building your pipeline of deals, where you are going to go in and put in a deal either from dot loops or for SkySlope, or create it directly into here and start building your pipeline. The benefit of the brokerage account for an agent is you can forecast commission. You can start building out your pipeline and have a value to it. You can go, great, I have X number of transactions that are in as an opportunity that results in X dollar amount for me in the next quarter. And it's a great perspective and a forecast like any other business is doing. You're forecasting revenue. It's also a great motivational factor, and the people that you truly want to follow up with that are hot leads, versus just tracking who's in your CRM and sending out emails or tracking phone calls. So think of the brokerage account as your production. This is what's going to manage your production metrics, your commission forecasts, all that. When you go to your My Business account, think of your My Business account as your QuickBooks. This is your financial management software. We are the only back office and accounting platform for brokerages and agents, right? So this helps solve the issue of many agents not using or want the added expense of a QuickBooks or Quicken, or just wants to have it streamlined. So this is where you start managing your finances. And we'll dive into it, obviously, in greater detail as we go into invoices, bills, banking, and reports and Zipi Pay. But this is where you manage your money. So My Business is you manage your money. The brokerage account, you manage your production. And hopefully that makes sense. So let's dive into your My Business account first. So again, this little button up here, this section allows you to navigate back and forth. So with your My Business account, lots of cool things here. So when you go to your company, and feel free if you have multi-screen and you want to follow along with me as you're kind of setting up your My Business account, feel free to do so. If not, this is being recorded. You will have access to the replay. So if you want to go back and revisit anything, please do so. And we're always here for questions. So in your settings, you're going to see, in your company settings, you're going to see settings. So let's start here. Remember how I said that you can change the name of your My Business account to your company name. So for an example, if your broker sends you an invoice and you pay a monthly, quarterly, or annual fee via credit card, or I'll show you Zipi Pay here in a minute. This is the company that you want, the company name, say you want on that invoice, or how you want your broker to invoice. If it's just you and you're a sole proprietor, you just put your own name. If you are an LLC, an S Corp, or a C Corp, make sure that you put that name there if you want those invoices and commissions dispersed specifically to, say, that company name. So you can change your company name there. You can select the industry that you're part of, which right now is we target real estate. And you can put in your location. You can put in, if you have an office location, you can put in your office location here, and then you can create your default disbursement address. So for commission disbursements, you can have it select a location that you've added, or your billing address for any bills or invoices that you receive. Then you hit save and we move on. The finance section, this is where it starts getting into more of tracking your finances, knowing your numbers. From the basic standpoint, you have your own chart of accounts. So you can go in and create your chart of accounts. We have the basics in here. We have your cash, cost of goods sold, liabilities, assets, equity, income, expenses. And then you can start adding to that. So we highly recommend that you consult your CPA, your accountant, your bookkeeper, to let you know, great, here's a chart of accounts that you should be using. There's lots of great examples out there that real estate agents and teams and smaller companies can use. If you want to go in there and input it, it's incredibly simple. You simply hit create. You choose the account type that you want. Is it an asset, a liability, an expense, or income? You choose what you want to name this. You can tie it to, say, a bank name. You can add a code. You can type in a description, and then you hit create. And it'll create that ledger account for you. The services and products is a little bit more granular. And this is where a lot of different real estate companies and agents have been overusing their chart of accounts. They've been trying to add so much detail to the chart of accounts for reporting purposes because they have not had a system like Zipi that can separate financial reporting from production reporting. They kind of use their financial reports for production reports as well, which caused an overly abundant, complex, confusing chart of accounts. So services and products, what this is for, is where you can get a lot more detailed for reporting purposes. As a very simple example, your chart of accounts is really for your CPA, right? They want to know, great, what did you spend on marketing? They don't care if it was on business cards, signage, marketing flyers, listing photos. They don't care. And what they want to know is, great, you spent $1,000 on marketing, but you may want more detailed information so you can budget appropriately and run reports. So in services and products, this is where you would go in and go business cards, signage, whatever. If you don't know the price, it's just zero. And then I want to tie this to my marketing chart of account. So now I can go create that services and products, which is tied to my marketing chart of account, which I didn't create yet. But then I can go in and go, great, I want to do listing flyers. And I'm just going to put the price at zero because I can always adjust that in there. And then I'm going to go down to my marketing ledger account, which again, is not created, and hit create. So now when I want to run a report for, say, services and products, I can see, great, I spent X on listing flyers, I spent X on business cards. But then when you want to send your chart of accounts or a report to your CPA, they go, great, Terry spent X on marketing. They don't care about all this other stuff. Keep in mind, one thing, our disclosure is we are not CPAs, bookkeepers, accountants. So anything that we're telling you and teaching you here, make sure you verify it with the appropriate professionals. We just know how to navigate our system, and the best practices is what we teach. And then manual journal entries. If you want to create a manual journal entry where it wasn't, say, brought in by a bank feed, or you want to start or create a manual journal entry, do that here. So that's really the setup of your My Business account. As you go into your marketplace, you're going to see that if you go to all, these are going to be all the apps that you have available to you in your My Business account, which right now is just Zipi Pay. When you go and you click on Activate, it'll take you over to Activated and show you that you have activated Zipi Pay. This little show and nav bar creates this little shortcut down here. If I turn that off, it'll remove it from the left sidebar. If I turn it on, it's just a one simple click to take me into settings. Settings, this is where you're going to activate and set up your Zipi Pay. So what the heck is Zipi Pay? Zipi Pay is, think of it like Google Pay, Apple Pay, Venmo. It is an electronic funds transfer conduit. It's a tool that allows you to move money from one place to another. And this allows your broker to pay your commission to you via Zipi Pay. This allows you to pay your invoices to your broker via Zipi Pay. So what you want to do is you want to keep your Zipi Pay. We recommend keeping your gateway title Zipi Pay, but you may want to add, your My Business Zipi Pay. Go ahead and do that. We recommend keeping Zipi Pay in there so you know that it's your actual Zipi Pay account. You want to choose your business type. Now, we have a very detailed knowledge-based article regarding this entire setup process, which I'm going to navigate to here really quick. And it's called Zipi Pay Activation for My Business. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and throw that here in the chat for everyone. So this way you have it. It walks you through step by step how to activate your Zipi Pay and the different processes. But as you can see here, your business type is what is your business structure and how do you legally file your taxes? This is what you want to confirm with your CPA, your accountant, or your corporate attorney if you have one structured. Are you filing your taxes as an individual, a sole proprietor, a partnership, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp? You want this to be accurate. So when you go back into here, you want to make sure that you select the appropriate entity and how you file your taxes. You're going to put in your business name. So your business name, as another example, I highlight here in the knowledge base article, your business name is the company's legal business name. And an example is the McDonald's Corporation. Okay. The next thing is you're doing business as, I'm going to skip over number 4 for now, but doing business as, and that is right here. What is the difference? You need to have a doing business as actually filed. This is not just a made up name that you're going to make up and you decide, okay, I'm going to decide to use this. The DBA is actual filed with your city, county, or state for you to do business as that name. So the example of a legal business name is McDonald's Corporation. An example of a doing business as is just McDonald's. It's going to be the name by which people know your business. And then you're going to put in your address, city, state, zip. Highly recommend that you use the address that you have on file with your bank. That's usually a good rule of thumb. Use the address you have on file with your bank. If you have a corporation and you have an address on file with your Secretary of State, use that address. But best rule of thumb, use the address you have on file with your bank. Owner is most likely going to be you, first name, last name, email. Controller. The controller could be you as well. But the controller is also a person legally responsible for company finances and banking. So it 9 times out of 10 is going to be you as well. But if you want, say your accountant, your bookkeeper, somebody else is in charge of managing your business's finances, you're going to add their information here. You click these 2 boxes, you agree, and then you move on. Since I can't really demonstrate that without going in and putting obviously personal information on a recorded demo, which would not be a good idea, I'm going to revert to our knowledge base here that I gave you access to. You can go and put in your EIN number if you have one, choose your controller. The next thing is you're going to connect a bank account. So you have to connect a bank account because Zipi Pay has no money in it. It's just that gateway. It's a conduit to move money from one place to another. When you connect a bank account, this walks you through that process to do so. And you're going to connect either a checking account, a savings account, whatever you want to connect. But this allows you to either pay invoices via Zipi Pay from a bank account to your broker, or when your broker sends you commission check or commission funds or proceeds via Zipi Pay, this is the account you want those funds to go to. So when you connect a bank account, it's either for you to send money to somebody else, to pay an invoice, or to collect money like a commission check. I see Julia's in the chat, seeing if anyone has already set up their Zipi Pay, and if you've had any issues, go ahead and connect with Julia on that while I continue. But if there are no questions regarding Zipi Pay, I'm going to move on. The next thing in your My Business is your sales and purchases. Actually, you know what? I'm going to back up. I'm going to go to banking, because I think this is something that kind of ties to Zipi Pay. This is not, so when you look at banking, this is completely separate. When you connect a bank account, this does not connect your Zipi Pay. So when you go to Zipi Pay and you're setting up a new account and you're connecting a bank account, that is just connecting a bank account or a funding source to Zipi Pay for money to be transferred to or transferred into that particular account, strictly for Zipi Pay. Banking, this is completely separate. So your banking module, when you go to click on add an account, this is where you can add a checking account, savings account, credit card account. And if you're used to using QuickBooks or something like Mint to kind of track all of your finances, you can go in here, click continue, choose your bank, put in your user ID and password. So for reference, this is your Chase or Wells Fargo, Bank of America username and password. This is not your Zipi username and password. So put in your username and password. It'll ask you probably a few security questions. It'll probably text you a code to make sure and verify that it is you. Once you get past that step, it'll ask you which account you want to connect to Zipi. If you have multiple accounts with Chase, say a checking, a savings, a money market, and you want to manage all of those in your Zipi My Business account, you have to go through this process each time. Because you can't add multiple accounts at the same time. You just go through the process and add your checking, go through the same process, add your savings, go through the process, add your money market, and then you can do the exact same process to add credit cards. The reason you want to do this is as you start connecting bank accounts, you're going to activate your banking feed. When you activate your banking feed, all of your transactions from your bank account are going to go into Zipi, so you can then categorize them and reconcile them in your chart of accounts. So this is like, without diving into too much accounting or bookkeeping 101 for a real estate business, these are things that every real estate agent should be doing. I've been in the business for 15 years and ran teams, ran brokerages, coached agents, and the biggest, most dire problem in our industry is most agents are not monitoring their money appropriately, nor knowing their numbers and where money goes in, where money goes out, and really monitoring that from a budget standpoint. So we are trying to change that and giving every agent access to a basically free financial management platform via their broker, so they can start managing their money better and forecasting and saving and making sure that they are a profitable company, not just living commission check to commission check. So the banking feed allows you to do that. It's saying money coming in, money going out, you're logging it, you're tagging it, you're saying where's it going, and now you are better prepared for tax time as well. Sales and your sales is your invoices. This is money that you are going to collect. We call that your accounts receivable. This is money that you are going to say send an invoice to somebody. So if you want to send an invoice to somebody for a service that you rendered outside of commission, because commission has to go through your brokers. For most states, I don't know, I can't speak to every state, but by law has to go through your broker. And you can create an invoice for a customer. Maybe it's for an outside service, maybe it's for a consulting fee, whatever that may be. You can create an invoice. Maybe you're a real estate coach also. You can invoice your clients simply by adding them as a contact, going ahead and invoicing them. Maybe you need to invoice your own broker too. You log yourself as the person in charge of this invoice. You can choose what they are labeled to use to pay you. And then here's where your products and services come into play too. You can say, great, I'm going to charge you for business cards. Or maybe you run a team and you want to charge your agents on your team to reimburse you for expenses. You can use invoices for that as well. And then you can even apply credits. If they have credits with your team and they don't need to pay for it, you want to apply the credit, you can do that as well. This is really getting into accounting 101. And I want to stay away from that as much as possible, just because, again, we're not accountants, but from best practice in navigating the system, you can't invoice from the system. If somebody owes you money and you want them to pay you via credit card or Zipi Pay, they can do that in here. It'll log your payments received. It'll log your credit notes. Purchases are bills, expenses, any money going out. These are your accounts payable. The great thing about our system is that your My Business account is completely separate from your broker account. They do not have access to any of this information. It is all protected, really, really strict online security policies and that we follow. And so if your broker sends you an invoice from their Zipi account, it will show up as a bill like this one in your account. So this way you have complete access to every bill, every invoice, every statement that you have ever paid your broker, whoever sent you an invoice. You can simply click on it, see that it's a bill. It has not been paid yet. And this is what it's for. There's going to be a line item, exactly what it's for. And then you can choose how you want to pay that. Do you want to use your Zipi Pay? Do you have a credit card on file? Did you already pay via check? Whatever that, or did you already record a payment? Did you just walk in and give them a check and you just want to record that payment? You can do that all within Zipi. The great thing is now once you have these expenses, they're going to be charted to your chart of account. Again, handling the bookkeeping for you. So as you're paying bills and as money coming in, money going out, it's helping you already keep your books nice and clean, and we're automating and streamlining that process. You can see here that it's a bill from Max Capital Real Estate, your brokerage. You can click there. It'll take you to their contact record. In their contact record, this is where if your broker wants you to pay via Zipi Pay or credit card, you can click on Edit Contact, and this is where you can add a payment method. So say for anything related to your broker, you want to just say, I want to add a credit card or a bank account on file to pay those fees or my invoices. This is where you would go add that credit card. And the great thing about this is, gosh, back when I started real estate, I would actually have to fill out a form with my credit card information. My broker would keep that in a file, in a file cabinet that they would reference on a monthly basis, not knowing whatever happened to that credit card number. Here, you can put in your credit card information, your bank account information, and nobody, including us, have access to your credit card number, your card code, your expiration, none of that. We do not have access to your card number. That stays proprietary to the system. Once it's in there, you're going to see a lot of asterisks in the last 4 numbers of the card number. And so that is stored, not to be used by anybody but you. So a very, very secure method of payment to whoever you need to pay. And same thing for a bank account. You'd follow the same process. We have not done anything from the Zipi Pay marketplace to be able to add your bank account here. But that's where you would actually say, great, anything for X Capital, I want to add these payment methods specifically for this person. You may have somebody else that you want to use a different payment method. You would log that here. Reports, these are all your financial reports. This is an example, but if you want to run financial reports, you simply hit create. And you're going to see income statement, balance sheet, account transactions, journal, general ledger, and you can click on income statement, choose your time period. These are all dynamic dates. So if you hit today and you save the report, it's always going to be today. Same thing with current year, current quarter, current month. If you hit current week, every time you run this report, it'll just be current week if you saved it. Choose your report basis. Again, we're diving into a little bit of accounting 101, but accrual versus cash. Did you tag any invoices or anything specifically that you wanted to add here? Typically not. And do you want to include a zero balance on your report? You can check yes or no. And you can even associate this with a particular deal on the broker side of it. If you want to run an income statement report for specific deals, you can add those here. You click run. And we have no data in this account, but you can simply go in and see all the different financial chart of accounts, the different account codes that you have, the financial breakdown, and you can save this report. You can save it, name it, you can categorize it if you want to create a category. You can go, oh, I messed up. I want to fix that. I can go back and edit the criteria for that report. I can go and download that as a CSV if I want it, or I can print it to paper, or I can print it to PDF. Completely up to you. Any questions on the My Business account before I move on to the brokerage account? I know we have about 20 minutes left. I want to get through the brokerage account, which is fairly simple. Not much you have to do in that account, but I really wanted to dive into the My Business account because I believe, and Julia can chime in if there's any additional things I need to add. But usually the My Business account is where we get most of the questions from agents as far as how do we use it, what's the difference, and what's the benefit of it. So I wanted to make sure I spent more time on that. Anything I missed, Julia, that I should cover?
No questions over here. I just think that it's, and as you already said, it's important to have the agents understand that it's completely your account and no one else has access to it. Brokerage, Zipi, anyone else. It's all your data.
100%. And a great value add for agents. So now I want to point this out because again, this is another frequently asked question is how do I get back and what's the difference? So clicking up here, go to Axe Capital or your brokerage account. And now you're going from your financial side of your business to your production side of your business. And we already covered the basics of navigation. So let's dive into your insights board because when you log in, as I mentioned, it's going to be blank. You can go in and create a new board, which you will do. And we'll just do this right now. You can name it production year to date. And I'm going to hit create. And now there's no widgets. So I'm going to go click on this pencil. And I'm going to add a widget. I simply click the plus button, and I want to go add a average commission. I'm going to hit average commission and add. I'm going to title it average commission year to date. And I can even put an average list commission year to date. Let's get really granular here. I'm going to say year to date because I titled it year to date. You could even do current week, current quarter, current month. This is going to be for you, which is your only option. Deal status. I want average list commission for, say, close and pending. And the deal type, I said listing. I want to just select listing. And the average type, do I want to look at my average GCI, the percentage, or both? I'm going to say both and hit save. And now this widget is created. I don't think I have any data in here to really showcase this. But then I can go create that widget and I can move it. If I want to move this widget, I can drag and drop it anywhere in the system I want. I can go create another widget, and it might be my source of business widget. Add, and I'm going to say source of business year to date closed. And now I'm going to go year to date, deal status closed, deal type. I want listing and buyer this time. Save. And then it'll create that widget for me. And then I can go through and again continue to just add, build my widget, move them around. And I can hit save. And then that way my dashboard is created. There's no data in here. But if I want to move these around, I just simply click and drag and drop, move it around as I want and hit save. And that's how you create a deal board. And you can go, or a dashboard, and you can go add as many different widgets as you want. You can create different dashboards for, current pending production, current listing production, year-to-date close sales, all year-to-date close listings, year-to-date close purchase, whatever floats your boat. You can go crazy and create as many boards as you want, and then you can star the one that you want to default when you log into the account and show you first. Deals. This is where you start tracking your deals. Now, whether your brokerage workflow or process is you put in the information, an admin puts in your information, auditing or compliance puts them in, whatever that process is, this is completely flexible. And so you can go in and create your deal, and simply by typing in the address. Let me put in the address, seller agent. Maybe the seller agent is me. I'll put in the seller agent. Say I know the buyer agent. Let's work with Alan agent. Was this a referral from an agent? I got this from Andrea. Closing company, let's work with Axe Capital Title. And I think Tina was handling this one, and they're located at this address. Seller, I'm going to put in the seller. If they're not already in here, I can go in and put in Bobby Axelrod, and I'm going to go in here and put in who's the buyer. Let's put in Chuck, and I'm going to make the client, I'm going to make Bobby my client. So now it's deemed him my client. I can go and add different tags. If I need to, I can go in and put an external deal URL. Maybe it's a listing and you want to put it in the marketing page in here so you have a quick reference to the marketing page, or to a Dropbox folder with, all of your different documents that you want to have in there, or marketing content. The type automatically put listing because I chose the seller as my client. If I chose the buyer as my client, it would have automatically chose the buyer. So it already dynamically did that. I can go in and put in the sale price or potential sale price, right? If it's a listing, you kind of know what it's going to sell for, hopefully. From a buyer standpoint, you kind of know the price range that your buyers are looking in. This is just an estimate until you actually get into contract and you close, and that could be adjusted. Close of escrow. This is, again, like the sale price. This is just an estimated close of escrow date until it gets down to the date of closing. Source of business. Your brokerage has already completed a laundry list of sources of business that you can use. And since this is a referral, I can go in and say that this is a referral. And then commission. Again, you want to just forecast what your commission is. You know what typically your average commission is going to be. It's, you can put in that amount. You can see that it already has calculated the commission. One thing to note is that it's either or. You're either going to put in a percentage or a flat fee. You're not going to put in both, because if I did both, it's going to add it to the entire gross commission. The only time that you can put in both is if you are actually adding to your percentage of commission. For example, I would go in and say, I'm getting an additional bonus of $1,000. It'll add it there automatically because I added it, I categorized it, and now it added it to my gross commission, which my commission structure will then be based off of. So you want to add something, Julia?
Yeah, I wanted, since I checked out, most of the attendees are using .loop, and
Yep.
I know that your brokerages are going to have them set up their auto sync when they
Perfect.
sync their .loop account. So can you go into a little bit of that, how it works and what they're going to need to do on their end?
For sure.
Yep, thanks.
And so what happens is, once you create this account, you will go ahead or create this deal. You'll go ahead and hit create deal. And then once you go into it, you're going to see your financial breakdown. And you're going to see that you, as the agent or the primary agent, you're going to see what your commission payout or forecasted payout would be. Moving to, that's how you enter a deal directly into Zipi. Now, if you want to enter a deal from .loop, here's what we're going to do. You are going to go to your profile and you're going to go to your apps. Under apps, you're going to see .loop integration, not connected yet. If you do not see your .loop integration here under apps, it means your broker has not activated it yet for anyone in the company to see it. If that is the case, please go to your broker, your administration, and say, hey, I don't have .loop in my account yet. Please go in and activate it. Another note, your .loop integration is only going to be visible in your brokerage account. It will not be visible in your My Business account. So 2 things to check is, if you don't see .loop, make sure that you're not in your My Business account. Make sure that you are in your brokerage account. And then if you are in your brokerage account and you don't see it, please check with your administration because they have not activated it yet. If you see it, perfect. You click connect. And .loop makes it incredibly simple for you to connect to Zipi. So what's happening now is we are going in with our API and we're talking to .loop on the back end. And we are going to go connect your .loop account to Zipi. It does take a minute. It is thinking, it is processing, it is connecting 2 different systems on the back end. So once it's going to go and take you to the login screen, which you're going to put in your .loop credentials. So once that comes up, and once this screen comes up, you will go in and you will enter your .loop credentials, which is your username and password. And I'll show you that here in a second. Again, if this does take a little bit of time, just don't be worried. It happens. It's connecting a bunch of different data pieces or sources of data. So don't worry about that too much. You can click authorize. And then it's going to take you to this .loop screen where you're going to put in your username and your password to sign into the loop. You click sign in. It's going to say, great, this is going to be a bi-directional sync, which means if you put in information into Zipi, it'll go to .loop. You put it into .loop, it's going to come to Zipi. Hit approve. It's going to authorize both applications to talk to each other. And then you hit continue. Oops, I totally missed that, sorry. Here's the next step, auto create deals. You can turn this toggle on or off. If it is off, when you want to pull a deal in from .loop into Zipi, it's just a one-off manual process that you'll go in, and I'll show you how to do that, but you'll go in, choose the deal that you want to bring into Zipi, and then you sync it. If you turn on auto create deals, anytime a deal is created in .loop, it is automatically going to be created in Zipi without you having to do anything. And then you can choose, do I want to auto create deals for a specific profile, for a specific transaction type, for a specific loop status. So say if I want to auto create deals in Zipi that are purchases or listings and they are under contract. That's the only time. As soon as they get under contract, that's when I want it to sync with Zipi. And then I want to enable notifications in that little notifications bar up here at the top. I want to be notified that that deal has come over. And then you can choose map profiles to divisions. So if you have multiple profiles, you have multiple .loop profiles, and there are different divisions that your brokerage has set up, you can sync those here, but typically it's going to be a very none and none. And then you hit save and go. Once you hit save and go, again, those settings are going to be added to Zipi. You can go in and adjust those settings if you need to. So really quick, for sake of time, if you go back to your account, your login, under your brokerage account, under apps, you're going to see settings. I can go back to settings. It'll take me into the .loop default settings that I just created. And then I can go ahead and make any adjustments necessary on this screen and hit save and go. If everything is fine, you're good to go. Excellent. You can go to deals. And then whenever a criteria in .loop hits that either a purchase or a listing and it's under contract, it'll automatically come into Zipi. Or I can go in and create a deal from .loop, which is going to take me into .loop, and I can go and see, excellent, I want to go search for loops going all the way back to 2019, because I think that's the only time I have loops in here. Maybe not. Gotta go back further. Or maybe it's because of my second profile. Again, make sure that you have the right profile checked. And you want to check a date range. If you don't see anything in here from a loop standpoint, just check your criteria. See, made sure I was under the right profile, made sure I had the right date time frame in here, and then I can see it here. 123 Main Street. I can click that little toggle, and then it's going to prompt me. It's going to say close of escrow not valid. You can't bring it in because it's still really kind of an active deal. We got to increase this close of escrow date. So I can go ahead and make that manual adjustment in here if I want to and bring it into 2020 and make it today or make it tomorrow, whenever it's going to close. And then I can make sure that it's assigned to the right Zipi deal as the primary agent. I can click. There's none assigned. I'm going to say that I was a listing agent on this and I'm getting 100% of the deal. Apply. It's then going to take this transaction and move it into Zipi. The other way to get, did I hit apply? I got to start sync. The other way of getting deals into Zipi is if I hit create, like I did here, I can create a deal directly into Zipi. And then once it goes under contract, then I can go ahead from this screen. I can click the .loop icon and then loop it. It'll take all of this information and send it over to .loop. Without having to have duplicate data entry, the transaction will then show up in .loop. Or I can go ahead and bring in a deal from .loop by clicking create and going to .loop and bringing it in via the API here. So there's two different ways of getting data into Zipi and two different ways of getting data into .loop. But once that deal is synced and once that deal is in both systems, they will stay up to date in both systems. If I go in and make a change to 123 Main Street in .loop, it'll update it into Zipi. If I go into Zipi and update it, it'll update it in .loop. So many different ways of getting the deals in there, depending upon what your brokerage workflow, what their workflow is. But as of right now, this is Zipi basic 101 training. Went over your My Business, went over your brokerage account, went over the community, went over Zipi Pay. I'm going to leave the next 4 or 5 minutes open just for questions. If you want to use the chat, ask a question in the chat if you want to get specific. Julia, feel free to chime in if I missed anything that you think that we need to cover that I may have missed.
No, Jesse, I think you covered everything pretty well. Just want to reiterate that the .loop integration, if your brokerage is using .loop, of course, is going to be a big part of your life. And so whether your brokerage has you mostly working in .loop or mostly working in Zipi, they're going to let you know that workflow. But the most important thing to know is that these two systems are always going to be in sync once that deal connection is made. So wherever you're working, you don't have to pop back and forth between the two platforms.
100%. And you also want to make sure that we advise your broker of this when they're in the onboarding phase of Zipi, that the email address that they have on file for you in .loop and in Zipi both have to be the same. If your email address in Zipi is different than your email address in .loop, and say they're not connecting, deals are not syncing, that's going to be number one, the number one reason why, the number one culprit. So you want to make sure that the email address in both systems are up to date. If they are not, please update your broker and make sure that they have the up-to-date information from a contact standpoint, so both systems are accurate. The auto create deals, again, make sure that you have this set to any specific thing that you want. If you want it to just auto sync absolutely everything, you don't need to put in any criteria. You can just say, great, I just want to auto sync everything that's in .loop, which I caution you because you might get a lot of things you don't want in there. It's always good to set parameters. If you have deals that you want synced and they're not syncing to Zipi, go back here first and make sure, oh, that was a listing, that's not checked. Let's make sure it's there, or it wasn't the right status, or it's under the wrong profile. This is very, very filter and criteria and parameter based. So we can automate a lot of the workflow. Just think through how you want the deals to go in and out, back and forth. And then we'll help automate that process to avoid that duplicate data entry.
In addition, just want a couple more things. Mind your profiles. The more profiles that you have, the more options that you may need to choose from when you're selecting those specific types of deals that you want to auto sync. And of course, always refer to your broker on workflow and process for these things.
Yes. And that's a great example, Julie, because even myself, I have 2 profiles in here and I'm like, why don't I have any deals in here? I'm like, oh, I have 2 profiles. I was on the wrong profile. So even someone like me who's in the system day in and day out, and I have only 2 profiles in here, it's confusing. If you have multiple profiles, you don't know why you have multiple profiles, maybe go to your broker and let's clean those up. If you have multiple profiles for a reason, great. Okay, you know what they're there for. Just be aware that the right profile needs to be selected if you're going to be bringing in deals. And then like I just clearly and very seamlessly outlined and even demonstrated that I was in the wrong profile and was like, why don't I have any deals in here? I switched the profile, updated the time frame. There they were. So if you have any issues with that, make sure you talk to your broker. Make sure you understand their workflow, like Julia said. But if there are no other questions, I will go ahead and end this live training session. Please feel free to always go to need help in your profile. This will take you to your community. Latest news are just always news and updates from Zipi from an exciting standpoint, where we promote a lot of cool things as Zipi's doing here. Discussions, Q&As. We have a lot of engagement from our user base in the questions and answers. Our team is very, very, very active in our community, along with our other community members and Zipi users. So if you have any kind of questions, they're always go here as well. They may be able to help you before we can get to it. Our support is always here to help you. From a product update standpoint, just kind of covering this since we have a minute left. Product announcements. This is where our development team clearly outlines anything new, bug fixes, anything cool that you might want to be aware of as far as what is going on with our platform in real time. Product ideas. We are always open to product. I already showed you the knowledge base, but we're always open to product ideas. If you have an idea and you're like, wow, I think Zipi would be cool if it had this, add it. Share your feedback. Add an idea, and then the more they get voted on, we start prioritizing that from a development roadmap standpoint. So we're always open to ideas. We love user feedback. We love user stories. Let us know what you're doing. That is great. Let us know how you're using Zipi, how it's helping your business. If there's always things that we can do to improve, we want to know that as well. So, without taking any more of your time, I really appreciate your 60 minutes and really learning about Zipi and how it can benefit your business. And I'm going to go ahead and end recording right now. You'll all get a copy of this, and we're here to help you every step of the way. Thank you.